Hello, everyone. Nice to see you all. Great crowd for a Friday afternoon. I'm Anthony, and I lead our product management team at Airtable. And for anyone who's not familiar with Airtable, Airtable is the fastest platform for building really great applications to run your business. And I wanted to spend today talking about AI. I think last year was really a big year for the hype of AI, and many of the conversations that I've had with product teams and other product leaders over this past year have really been translating from how do we go from this hype and excitement around AI to actual transformative and practical use cases where we can bring AI into our organizations and change the way that we're working. And I consistently hear that most companies have not really figured out ways to do that yet, and they get very excited hearing about some of what we've been doing at Airtable and how we've brought AI into many of our digital product development processes. So I hope what I'll be able to share with you today are some tips and best practices of what we've learned by really prototyping with AI tools over the last year. So I want to get started with a little story and a little backstory, and I hope this resonates. I heard from several of you over the last 2 days that user feedback management has been a challenge in your organizations. And back in 2022, this was a huge problem for us at Airtable. We had just gone through a really rapid period of growth within the company. We had grown from about 150 to close to 700 people across the team. And our user feedback management process was a total mess. We were getting feedback pouring through Slack channels and emails and coming in from our support teams and from our go-to-market teams. And it was really disorganized. Nobody could make sense of it. It was hard to tell what was urgent, what was important, what should we take action on, impossible to report on. And so, we really sought out to go build a better process around how we understood and ran intake with our customers and gathered sources of feedback from many different channels. And so we put together a team of cross-functional folks from product operations and sales and solutions engineering and customer success and sought out to go solve this problem. And we really wanted to make it feel like feedback was not going into a black box, but like we could actually utilize it to generate insights and to take action on it. So we put together this working group, and our goal was pretty simple. The goal is really, let's just make it as easy as possible to submit feedback and to aggregate this feedback and to let our product teams utilize it to inform our strategy and roadmap. And I remember actually in late 2022, after we built this new process and this new application, we launched it at our second half sales kickoff, and we got a standing ovation from our go-to-market teams. They were so excited about this idea that our customer feedback was really now going to drive priorities and change the way that we were road mapping. There was so much excitement around and anticipation around that idea. And as you might have guessed, was it a success? Well, kind of, not quite. We rolled out this new feedback process, and we did a lot of what we sought to do. We did centralize our feedback across many different sources, from recorded calls out of Gong, from Zendesk tickets, from Salesforce, from Slack, from forms that were being submitted by our users directly through the product. But we actually also created a new problem, which was that we went from getting dozens of pieces of product feedback every week to all of a sudden getting hundreds or thousands of pieces of product feedback. So we actually made it so easy that we really dramatically increased the volume of submissions that we were seeing from our customers and our teams. And this created a new problem, which was that our product ops teams and our PMs felt like all of a sudden they were inundated in reviewing and triaging and taking action on this huge volume of data that just, while it was insightful, it was such a time suck that they really just couldn't keep up. So once again, unfortunately, after about a month, it started to feel like all this feedback was just going into a black box again. And so, we could have given up there, but right around this time, in early 2023, ChatGPT came out, and we started to see the power of AI and of these LLMs, these large language models. And our product operations manager came to me one day and said, hey, that feedback process that is kind of broken and still stagnant even after all this investment we've made, well, I think AI can actually help us solve this problem. What if we could use AI to automate out a lot of the kind of tedious and manual parts of running this process and really make it more useful for our teams and help them to automatically generate insights from all this great data that we're collecting? And so I was very excited about this. And I told our product ops manager, like, great, let's go do it. And in fact, like, maybe I'll actually add a little scope creep along the way and said, like, why stop at feedback? Let's look at our whole product development process and let's think about where are all the places that we can integrate AI and large language models to accelerate some of the more tedious and manual work that our teams are spending a lot of time on today. So we went through this process mapping exercise and we looked at every stage of product development, of discovery, of planning, of execution, of measurement, launches, and for each stage, we embarked on a journey to say, how can we really reduce or just eliminate all of the administrative work that all of our teams, our PMs and designers and engineering managers are spending so much time on today? And that's what I'm going to share with you are some of the areas where we've actually implemented AI, and hopefully these will spark some inspiration for you. So first up was the feedback management process. So as I said, previously teams were spending a ton of time manually reviewing all this piece of feedback. And we integrated a new AI function into our feedback management application in Airtable that we call Smart Triage. So now with Smart Triage, the large language model is able to look at each piece of feedback and to determine, is it relevant to a product team? What product area is it associated with? Is it related to any kind of themes or existing known product gaps? Is it connected to an item that's already on our product roadmap? And all of this happens instantly, automatically, across all these different sources where we're gathering user feedback from, fully automating what was previously a manual triage process. And so now, with all this data categorized and tagged and structured in an easy-to-use application, our PMs start getting proactive insights. They actually get emails sent to them that alert them about what are some new trends or some new themes that we're seeing in the feedback related to your product area. It becomes much more measurable and actionable and easy to track over time. Pretty amazing. We actually even see now, as we kick off new features and start developing new products, we can tie them back to specific users who submitted related product feedback and go include them in discovery sessions or show them early designs and prototypes of what we're building. So next up was prioritization. And so with all of this user feedback data centralized and organized, we started to bring this into our prioritization process and using this to inform what are the next items that we might work on the roadmap. How many people have requested a particular feature or item on our backlog, and what is the revenue associated with the accounts that have requested that feature. But we also took it a step further and said, we start to oftentimes see this problem we kind of think of, or I think of as strategy drift. You go into the year, you hold your annual planning sessions, everybody comes out feeling super aligned, you know kind of what the goals are, what the results are that you want to see across your product org for the year. And then as you kind of get into the actual day-to-day working, some of your teams start going and working on other like local priorities, and maybe one of the results that you sought to achieve doesn't really have enough resourcing or enough impactful projects aligned to it. And so we looked at how can we use AI to start solving this problem as well. And similar to the feedback process, we built an automated matching function to say, for every item on our roadmap, are there any key results that this item is related to or expected to inflect? And so now, with our roadmap automatically aligned to all of the existing results and goals that we'd set as a product organization, we could get visibility into where are the holes, where are the projects that are falling behind, or maybe where are some of the key results that we sought out to achieve that we don't have projects associated with. And really, this provided just unprecedented visibility into everything from the top level goals we'd set as a company down to the projects and the current statuses of them that were underway to help us achieve these goals, really resulting in better aligned roadmaps that are connected to our top priorities. So at that point, we're feeling pretty good. Like, we've got feedback management under control. AI is providing this whole automation around our prioritization process. We're getting great feedback from our partners that they're hearing and feeling that our product roadmaps are really aligned with not only the voice of our customers and users, but also our company priorities. And we started looking at, well, what's next? Where else can we integrate AI functionality to help us work better and smarter and more efficiently? And my partner, our head of engineering and head of design, we were brainstorming some areas that we were struggling with on a regular basis. And we thought, I wonder if we could actually use AI to help us ship products faster. We have all these bottlenecks across our teams. We constantly see initiatives getting stuck or being blocked by a dependency or needing input from some leader or from some functional stakeholder. But even at a company our size, we may have several hundred projects that are ongoing at any given time. So it's pretty challenging to actually keep up to date on what are all those blockers and where are things getting stuck and when does something need action or intervention. So we had this idea of what if we could take all of the data that we have about all of our projects, the sprint summaries, the status updates, the comments that are being left down on individual tickets related to those items, and run all this data through a large language model and get a digest at the end of each week that shows us where are there initiatives that are at risk or that are falling behind or that may be blocked in a way that we're not aware of. And as a result, what we started finding is that we could really quickly uncover these blockers and these dependencies we had no idea existed, meet with teams right away within the week and help get them unblocked and help get projects moving faster. And this was what I was actually most excited about, because over the last 2 quarters, we saw a measurable increase in the number of initiatives that we brought to GA. We saw over a 20% increase in the number of features that went from early conceptual stages or betas into actually shipping compared to prior quarters. And so this has been really transformative for us as leaders in being able to help the teams move more quickly and to eliminate those points of friction across the product development process. And lastly, up until now, the use cases that I'd focused on were really focused on our product development internal teams. But we also wanted to look at some areas where we could help improve the way that product interfaced with the rest of the organization. And a big pain point that came up here was launch management. Unlike the other use cases I shared, launch management tends to be very cross-functional. We have to coordinate with our sales teams, our sales enablement, support, customer success, marketing, make sure that everybody's ready and aware of launches and the features that will be included with them and what's new, and we have all the support articles in place and all that. And this has been a challenge to manage, particularly actually for smaller launches, the ones that you don't have everybody aligned on and rallied around from the get-go at the start of a year. As the dates for projects shift, or as you see challenges kind of come up through the development process, it was really hard to identify when do we want to have these tier 2, these tier 3 launch moments, and what might they look like. And so we started prototyping around using AI to actually suggest launch moments to our product marketing team. And here we would feed in all the data around the various initiatives and their planned dates to GA, and actually come up with a suggested calendar and even an initial launch narrative that the marketing team can review and decide where do we want to invest in emotion around these launches. What do we want to play up? What do we want to really invest in marketing resources to go talk to our customers about? So this has been really transformative in making our launch moments both easier to coordinate and also actually producing higher impact and higher quality launches for our customers and users. So we've now integrated AI touchpoints and use cases really across the whole product development process. These are just a few select use cases that I wanted to share today. And it still feels like we're just getting started. Now that we got the product teams and the product ops folks really hooked on AI and seeing the transformative power of bringing LLMs into this life cycle, we're continuing to see our teams actually come up with new use cases all the time that they're incorporating into our process. All of what I shared has happened really over the last year. And so for today, I wanted to reflect a little bit on everything that we've learned over the last year of building out these processes and leave you with some advice that I hope will be useful for integrating and implementing AI use cases within your own organizations. So first, starting out with the business process map is a really, really great way to identify the highest leverage opportunities for automation within your teams. This is a great place to partner, by the way, with your product ops teams or design ops teams, if you have them, to look at your end-to-end processes and really identify where are the steps in the work that we do that are the most manual, that are the most tedious, that are impacting the largest number of employees across our company. Which of these are actually a good fit for LLMs and generative AI tools to help us solve for? Because they're not great for everything, but there are many use cases that they can be really powerful and transformative for. And then what is the impact of actually solving these? And so by that mapping out that process and those early whiteboarding sessions that I shared early on, it was a big unlock for us to build our roadmap of AI product operations initiatives and to constantly revisit where we could have the most impact by working on implementing these features into our apps and tooling. The second principle I'd share is to embed AI in your applications and in your process workflows. And the real value that we see from AI and large language models is utilizing them with your own data as part of recurring processes. So a question I get a lot from other product leaders and other product teams is, couldn't we just do some of this stuff in ChatGPT? And the answer is, yeah, you can. But you're then relying on every user of ChatGPT or Copilot to become good at writing prompts and knowing how to interface with large language models, remembering where they should be using AI as part of their process and knowing when to go out and interact with one of these models. And on the contrast, when you actually insert AI steps within your workflows and within your applications, you can have a very small number of people create the right prompts and iterate on those prompts and explore the outputs and scale that impact to your entire organization. This use case up here is actually a legal checklist use case that the team is currently prototyping, where we can feed in any product initiative that's on the roadmap and flag potential legal risks or items to review with our legal team before it goes into a release or GA. And I think it's exemplary of just showing the recurring process power of integrating your own data into these prompts and to really ensuring that you're leveraging AI in a consistent way as part of your ongoing and repetitive workflows. So to transform your process, you really need to put AI into the process. Okay, number 3, and this is a big one, is to test and iterate on what you create with your internal teams and partners. And I can't tell you, how many times I've had conversations recently with other product leaders or product teams who, maybe had a negative experience with testing some AI tools, or their first impressions weren't great. And when I asked them, well, how did you, kind of test your model inputs or your prompts or what you were, building for your teams, there wasn't really a whole lot of testing. And as product teams, I think we would never go build a feature and ship it directly to our customers without any internal testing or QA or iteration. And really the same thing should be true of our internal tools. Any apps or processes that we're building and using to scale the way that we work as a product organization should go through a similar, maybe smaller life cycle of building an MVP and testing it and getting feedback from the users who are going to be interacting with those applications. This is something I've really seen our product operations team embrace, is this concept of iterative learning and user discovery within our own teams and putting out prototypes to test and refining them. And because these large language models are non-deterministic, because the way that they work does require some iteration on the prompt and iteration on exactly kind of what data you're putting in to get a great output, it is critically important to do this type of testing and iteration with any AI tools that you're using. And number 4, and this one is I want to spend a little bit of time on. So riding the wave of model progression, it has just been really unbelievable to me to see the speed and progress with which these large language models are acquiring new capabilities. So back in 2022, we had ChatGPT, GPT 3.5. It's kind of widely been characterized as being able to solve for 5-second human tasks. Now, fast forward into 2023, 2024, we've seen a range of new models come out that are extremely powerful. And I think most people and most companies are actually still probably under leveraging and surprised by exactly how powerful these models have become. It's no longer just simple tasks or things like categorization or translation that they can power, but they're actually capable of fairly advanced reasoning, of identifying trends in data, of extracting themes and content from documents or from studies, really advanced tasks that would typically take humans a lot of time to conduct. And they're only getting better. We've already seen another model release from OpenAI just in the past week. We've seen hints that there are even stronger and more powerful models coming out over the course of this year. So the advice that I give to any organizations who are considering implementing AI tools is to pick technology vendors who are going to give you choice and selection of models, and to allow you to select the best and latest models for each task or each workflow that you're looking to automate. At Airtable, this has been a really important principle for us from the get-go. We've built all of our AI tools to be multi-model from the start, to allow our customers to select which models they'd like to enable or leverage within their workflows. But whether you work with Airtable or any other vendor, I think it'll be really important to ensure that whatever tools you use to power AI in your processes are not going to cause you to just be stuck with a certain model and the progression of that AI model. So, like I said, many teams that I speak with are really interested in AI, but haven't really figured out exactly where to start. And I hope that these principles give you something tangible that you can take back to your organizations. And if nothing else, that they at least spark some inspiration for some of the use cases that you might be able to prototype and implement. So I'll leave you with one slide. This is the one to take a photo of. There's a number of resources here if you'd like to learn more. When you get back to your virtual offices on Monday, you can scan these QR codes and get a live demo of Airtable AI for product teams. We have some resources for Airtable for product and design operations, as well as some case studies of other customers who are starting to implement many of these practices in their day-to-day. Thanks so much. All right, we've got some questions. Let's see.
I'm here.
There you are. Hello.
That was great.
Thanks.
All right. Oh, they're not here. They're here.
They're up
okay.
here.
A big part of using AI to optimize processes and workflows involve training the models. How did you structure the model, inputs, information to train the models?
Yeah, this is a really great question, and it's actually one of the most common misconceptions that I see when interacting with our customers who are implementing AI. So the latest models like GPT-4 and Claude 3 from Anthropic, for most use cases, do not actually require much training. I think there's a difference between, or there's a big difference between model training and effective prompt engineering. And what we've seen is that the vast majority of use cases can actually be achieved through prompt engineering without really any model tuning or training required. These large language models were trained on such enormous sets of data that they actually have really widespread general knowledge of products, of companies. And there's additional techniques that can be utilized in addition to just prompt engineering. There's a technique called few-shot prompting where you can actually give the model through your prompt a few examples of how you'd like to see the output. So for example, if you were writing product briefs and you wanted to make sure that all your product briefs came out with a consistent format using your own company's like voice and language and tone, you can provide some of those examples and it'll actually improve the quality of the output that you get. And it'll be much closer to what you would see from an employee kind of writing those briefs. So that's something that we really encourage our users and customers to experiment with. And we found that by and large, for most cases, in process management type use cases, you actually don't need to train a custom model or do any kind of in-depth AI training.
Excellent. Oh, concerns with legal. Did legal have any concerns having your team use AI to assess the risk?
Yeah, so I think there's probably a question behind this question, which is a lot of you are probably coming from organizations that are a little bit AI wary or maybe have concerns around using AI for different use cases. The way that we built our AI features at Airtable, we really started with the concerns of enterprise customers in mind. So for example, any AI and any prompts that are run through the Airtable platform will never be used for any kind of model training with any of the vendors that we use. We've also integrated models that actually run on our own infrastructure. So through Amazon has a product called Amazon Bedrock. It allows you to actually run models inside your own AWS instances so that the data that is generated never actually touches the model provider like an Anthropic. And so that was a major concern for us up front that we really invested in to make sure that the AI products we built would be the most safe and secure enterprise-grade AI. So as a result of that, no, our legal team did not have any concerns with us using these models to identify legal risks. They actually really appreciate it. Our legal team, doesn't have the resources to sit in every product review, in every design conversation, to review every initiative themselves. And so this is a use case that as I mentioned, we're currently prototyping and excited about implementing because we think it'll actually help us be much more proactive around which initiatives require a heavier level of engagement from our legal team and which ones they don't need to spend as much time on.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
I think we have like 46 seconds, so I want to get you to answer one question about great comment, incredible work. Can you please share guidance on how to get leadership buy-in to pursue AI initiative like this?
Yeah, this is a great one. So what I would suggest is the best way to get buy-in is to start with a specific use case. And I think that what I've seen consistently is that when you just talk about AI in the abstract, hey, we want to do cool stuff with AI, nobody gets excited about that. Your leaders are not going to advocate for just bringing in another tool, another kind of AI product that's going to add a line item to their budget. But when you can actually attach it to a concrete use case like user feedback management and talk about the time saving and the insight unlocks and the potential impact on your product strategy and roadmap for something concrete, we see a much, much higher level of buy-in and interest, not only from your leadership teams, but also from the IT teams, from the security teams, from the AI review boards, because it really kind of gives them confidence that they understand exactly how AI will be deployed in the context of these workflows. And it's much easier to grapple with than just kind of broad and general applications that may be a little bit more frightening for them.
Thank you, Anthony. That was really, really great.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Round of applause for Anthony. We love Airtable.
Thanks.
Great job.